Checks are being confirmed to everybody from President Biden and many members in Congress. Now, the global crisis actually seems destined to make us Americans experience another year of restrictions. Stimulus checks have also been lifesavers, as we know, for many American families. And during the month of January, many will still get this benefit once again in order to help them control their finances and their way of life. There are actually countless of citizens who are in dire need of economic relief and stimulus aid. That comes with a constant cover that comes with a crisis in the country only worsening. Now, the federal government will likely offer stimulus checks in the month of January to workers in states that have used a number of the federal relief to offer teachers bonuses, and many frontline workers on any walk of life, for example. Some even offer stimulus check to state residents, whoever meets the requirements, and another eligible group are babies who were born in 2021. These are the most recent Americans who qualify for payments of up to $1,400. And almost 3 million Americans have also signed a petition calling for a fourth stimulus package of monthly 2,000 payments. Over 80 Democrats in Congress supported a move to provide recurring payments for families, Americans, in addition to Vice President Kamala Harris. 6 members of the House Ways and Means Committee said to President Biden that they are encouraging him to make recurring payments to American families and add them in the American Families Plan. So far, the White House has said that recurring stimulus checks are actually going to be too costly, everybody. Do you think that President Biden is considering the true need of American people and that he should send out, and do you believe that he needs to send out more stimulus checks sooner than later? Tell me in the comments below. 21 senators, that's all Democrats, who signed a letter to President Biden in support of recurring stimulus payments, pointing out that the $1,400 payment being distributed by the IRS will not tide people over for long. The letter from the U.S. senators doesn't specify how large that the payments are and how many the people are seeking, but a separate effort from Democratic lawmakers pushed for $2,000 monthly checks until the crisis ends. Instead, the American Rescue Plan authorized $1,400 for each eligible adult and dependent. Research also found that millions of Americans were spared hardship due to the 3 rounds of stimulus payments. But when stimulus relief has faltered, like the last fall, when Congress has deadlocked another round on stimulus aid, we all know that stimulus checks were definitely supposed to be sent out and must be sent out sooner than later. If you guys agree that President Biden must do a better job in sending out more stimulus checks, then tell me in the comments below. Launched by Denver restaurant owner Stephanie Bonin, the petition will become one of Change.org's most signed if it reaches its goal of 3 million signatures. So President Biden's approval rating has greatly dropped over the past few months and it still has not recovered. So the new increase to Social Security benefits has also been announced. And though President Biden was popular during his early months in office, his approval rating began to take a dip. In late August, everybody, Joe Biden's disapproval rating overtook his approval rating for the first time, and it still has not recovered. Now currently, Biden has a 49.2% disapproval rating and a 44.5% approval rating. And what's really dented Biden's approval is the hit that he's taken among members of his own party. Among Democrats, Joe Biden's rating fell from 92 to 83% between July and September, and that's a 9 percentage point drop. The change was even worse among those who lean Democratic. Among members of this group, Biden's approval rating fell from 82% in July to 61%. These shifts are happening as Biden's agenda stalls in Congress because of clashes between moderates and progressives over the scope of his proposed 10-year Build Back Better plan. The legislation includes provision for fighting climate change, expanding tax credits, and strengthening the social safety net, paid for by taxing tax rates for corporations, capital gains, and those making more than $400,000 a year. The final total cost is expected to come in below Biden's proposed $3.5 trillion price tag. There's no one single issue driving Biden's slump though. Confidence in his ability to handle the crisis, foreign policy, and economic policy have brought the country together. And as the party in power in the midterm elections, Democrats already face long odds, defending their slim majorities in Congress next year. Biden's continued unpopularity can make it even more difficult. Biden did acknowledge the challenges he faces during his speech to promote the Build Back Better Act and the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's all the news I have for you in today's fourth stimulus check update. If you want more information on more stimulus payments, then be sure to watch the next video.
Mr. President, as the new chairman of the Budget Committee, wanted to take a few moments to talk about the $1.9 trillion budget resolution that I hope will be passed late tomorrow night. You know, I think sometimes our friends in the media make the political process much more complicated than it is. And real politics in a democracy is not that complicated. What it is about is assessing the problems facing the nation and coming up with solutions to those problems. And one of the great tragedies that has occurred, in my view, in recent years is that for working class people, middle class people, lower income people, these are folks who, in a variety of ways, are hurting and have hurt for many, many years. Wages in this country have been stagnant for decades. Young people are finding it increasingly difficult to go to college. 90 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured. We have a political system which is significantly corrupt because big money can buy elections. And people look around them and they say, who cares about me? Who's worried about me or my parents or my kids? And when that happens, that kind of political alienation happens, people can become prone to conspiracy theories and all kinds of big lies and everything else. And here is the simple truth, not complicated, that right now, in this year, 2021, we face more crises than this country has faced, certainly since the Great Depression and maybe going back to the Civil War, when the very existence of this country was at stake. As we speak right now, whether it's in your state of Georgia or my state of Vermont, and all over this country, there are tens of millions of working families who have lost their jobs, lost their incomes, and they are worried tonight as to how they're going to be able to feed their families. They're worried about the back rent that they owe. We have a moratorium on evictions, but that moratorium someday is going to end. And people are saying, how am I going to pay thousands of dollars in back rent? I'm going to be evicted. I'm going to be out on the street. And people in the midst of this terrible, terrible pandemic, where we have lost over 400,000 lives, well over 400,000 lives. There are over 90 million people who are uninsured or underinsured and are having difficulty affording going to the doctor. And on it goes. Kids, I have 7 grandchildren. Kids all over this country have had their education disrupted. As a result of the pandemic, people have become isolated from their friends and their families. Mental illness is soaring. Increased numbers of depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation. This country faces just terrible, terrible problems. I think we can agree that the year 2020 was the worst year in so many ways in our lifetimes, the modern history of this country.